Hey everyone. Hi, going live. Welcome to my home studio. We are looking at core strengthening exercises today that don't hurt the low back. So a healthy back is able to flex and to extend, right, to fold forward and back bend easily, and those are healthy ranges of movement for the spine. But what I've worked with a lot over the years is people who lost the curve in their low back. They become kind of permaflexed and have a lot of low back pain. And one thing that's recommended to them is to develop more core strength. And while it is important to develop core strength to support the low back, it is also really common to hurt your back doing core strengthening exercises. So I'm going to look at that today, why we hurt our back doing core strengthening exercises and better movements that we can do to really support the back over the long haul. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jasisha, and I own Maha Yoga here in Philadelphia. And I'm the founder of Aligned to Freedom, my signature 8-week program to help go-getters and people who've tried everything under the sun banish their back pain once and for all. All right, so when we're looking at the back, remember this pattern of the pelvis getting tucked under and the low back flattening is the prime cause of low back pain. It contributes to bulging discs and herniation. And when we have that kind of pain, those kinds of injuries, and we're looking to build core strength, we want to be careful that we don't exacerbate that pattern in the body. So today I have a yoga mat, I have a blanket, which can be nice for padding for the knees, I have 2 yoga blocks, and I also have a couple 15-pound dumbbells, and I'll show you how to use all that shortly. So what I've seen a lot of people do, if I'm at the gym or people show me the exercises they do, I see stuff like this, crunches. We're doing this. We're trying to get strong. We're feeling the belly engage, and we're doing types of curls, crunches, and sit-ups. And the reason that can be a bummer for the low back is it's this same tucked under position that's caused the bulging discs and the herniation. Now, it's not that crunches and abdominal curls are inherently dangerous. What I'm saying is that people who have back injuries, bulging discs, herniation, similar related low back pain, who do those exercises are at risk for further injury. It's not that they're terrible for all of us, but if you treat your low back, that's not going to be the type of movement that I recommend. Honestly, one of my favorites for building strength is a plank. And what I love about a plank is that it's really an integrator. So plank is just like a high push-up position. Come here on the mat, I've got my feet hip width, the thighs are strong, and they lift up. So I'm not hanging on the low back. The thighs are lifted, the navel's lifted. Every muscle in the body engaged here. I have some tone in the glutes, but I'm not clenching. I don't want to be squeezing the butt and tucking it under. See how that's that same flat low back position? I want to have tone, but length, extension. Sometimes being on the hands is like a little bit tough for the wrists. That's where the dumbbells come in. I'll put my hands on the dumbbells instead of foot on the mat. I'll go here. Feet wider is easier than feet narrow. So when you want more challenge, you'll bring the feet and the legs all the way together. The thighs are lifted, the belly's lifted. You can do that same exercise with the knees down. Roll these guys out of the way here. You can also do, let's see here, plank pose. I put the knees down, I don't want to stack. It's knees down, but thighs up, belly up. So I'm getting the tone. I love a plank because when we think of the core, we're not just talking about the surface six-pack ab muscles. I want to tone there, I also want the rectus abdominis, the big sheet muscle that connects from the pubic bone all the way up to the ribs, the side obliques, and the muscles of the back to be toned. So the core is circumferential. It's not just here in the front. And the reason why the core is so important is because it does support the curve of the low back. And it's the least bony supported part of the body. Right here in the center, we only have the spine in the middle, right? The ribs stop here, all of like the squishy stuff of the organs here in the center. So we want this corset of muscular support around the entire midsection. That's why my favorite core strength exercises aren't as much targeted, isolated engagement exercises for the abs. They're more integrative to get the whole system on board. Plank pose. And if plank is working even harder, forearm plank. I'm gonna come down here on the elbows. Same. Tuck the toes under, thighs lifted, belly lifted, but strong without clenching. Feet together, again, challenging. Feet wider for a little bit less intensity. Knees down, but the thighs and belly stay lifted to really build that strength and keep integrity in the low back. Forearm side plank. You can take a forearm to center, roll to the outer foot. Bring this top arm alongside the body, more challenge. Take it up to the sky, or even touch down for a little more support. So here, forearm plank. I'm gonna let the bottom hip dip down towards the ground. Here's the oblique, tone it here to lift. Keep the glutes strong without clenching. Little movements, I'm trying to not roll forward or back, just going down and up. Too intense. Put one foot in front of the other like you're on a slalom ski. Arm up, less strong. Arm at the side, little more interesting. Little pulses here. I'm isolating, I'm feeling that oblique work. And the body is in neutral. The low back is in its curve. The pelvis is neutral. And I'm strengthening at that state of ideal alignment instead of exacerbating the tendency that hurt the back to begin with. Strength in the muscles of the back themselves along the sides of the spine are so important for supporting healthy curve, happiness in the low back. My favorite for this is the yoga pose, locust. So for locust, you just lie belly down. Fly the arms back. Lift the belly till you feel the glutes strong without clenching. And with your inhale, lift, chest up, arms up. Think of extending forward. So I'm not worried about how high I'm getting. I'm going long, and then maybe lifting the legs behind if there's no strain. Extension over height. How long can you get? You can stay up here for a few breaths. You can also make it dynamic with the breath. As these are feeling more familiar, there's never a jam in the low back. Challenge yourself by bringing the arms out to like a cactus, or even taking the arms overhead. Like superhero, you can breathe here for a few breaths. And then exhale, take it down, adjust your legs so they feel straight back. There's a form of locust that I learned as conditioning locust. And this one really taught me a lot about how to get the integrated engagement in the abdominals. You have the legs straight back, parallel, feeling like the fronts of the thighs touch the mat. Rest your forehead on your hands. Push your feet down and lift the belly up, lift the bottom ribs up, rounding your mid-back towards the sky like a turtle. So it's a small movement, big engagement in the belly. And exhale, let it go. All right, watch again. I'm gonna take my forehead down so you can just see the movement in the back. and then exhale to release. So that work that I'm doing there, the pelvis is neutral because the thighs are supported on the floor. And with the pelvis, the low back neutral, I'm learning how to hollow out the belly without tucking the pelvis under, without putting all that pressure on the discs. I love that one because of how supported it is on the floor. And if you have pain in your back and locus, this is something Eric, you asked me about this last week, pain in the low back and locus. Do the conditioning locus first, fire the belly in that way, get that integration going, and then learn to bring that with you into those deeper expressions of locus themselves. So it'll look like this, belly down. Conditioning locus. I get that tone, hollowing out the belly, the ribs lift, the navel draws in. And then let it go. So I want a sense of that conditioning locus. There's the tone, the belly hollows, and then I lift. I'll be in a back bend when I lift in locus, but it has that support, have that full engagement of the abdominal wall as I lift. And then keep it strong through the dismount. So there's like never a checking out of that engagement. From here, I might as well go up to forearm plank. Ankles together, tuck the toes. Inhale, thighs up, belly up. You can work up to a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes here. Or you can do knees down. It's strength without strain. And if forearm plank is getting more familiar, try tops of the feet down. So I have my toenails pressing down, the heels together, they stay together. Keep the heels together, press down and lift here. Heels together, thighs up, belly up. Again, it's an integrator. So we're getting the strength in the abdominal wall, we're getting the glutes on board, also getting tone in the legs, the big muscles in the fronts of the thigh, the adductors, the inner thigh muscles. It's just like a whole system upgrade. All right, another important part of the core, the glute medius, the smaller butt muscle. When the pelvis gets tucked under, it's often an over-strengthening of the big glute muscle, the glute maximus, and an under-strengthening of the medius. So this is one of the more targeted exercises that I like to do. It's a clamshell. You can be here on the forearm, the knees bent, we're opening and closing, or you can lower all the way down or like this. Isolate this upper butt muscle to lift and then bring the knees back together. The feet stay touching, the knee lifts and lowers down. You'll feel the smaller glute medius, more up by the top of the hip working. You can do 2 sets of 10 of these. And you switch to do the other side. Whatever feels right for the neck and the head here. Here at the outer upper hip and down. So instead of the big, like meaty part of the glute, this is a little more lateral, so more towards the outer edge and a little higher. That's the muscle we're isolating here. I'm just using the left hand for a little stabilizer here. If you're getting any strain, you might just be overlifting. That'd be a micro movement that's really about strength, which is super clear. Just a few more rounds. I got one more for you after this, and it's my favorite. All right. Press yourself up. All right, my favorite strengthener for the abs is scales pose. This is what I use with my clients who have herniation, who've hurt their back doing stuff like squats, ab exercises, heavy weightlifting, running, riding their bicycle, that repetitive movement without the structural support that contributes to one day the herniation of disc in the low back. Right? The thing with herniation is once you have that rupture and you lose the spinal fluid, like there's no going back. It's worth avoiding at all costs. Like when you get to bulging discs, you want to interrupt that and make some different choices. Because once you have that injury, you will have to account for it the rest of your life. With that said, if you have herniation, yes, you can learn to move in a way that's not going to keep hurting you. But it has to be really precise once you've had that degree of injury. All right, so scales pose, 2 blocks. I want them pretty narrow because I want my arms as vertical as possible. Sit with your shins crossed like an X. Place your hands on the blocks. Let your arms go straight and then lift your knees forward towards your chest, feet up towards your butt. Here for 3. It'll shake a little bit, 2, and then 1, and lower down. In scales pose, you're not putting that pressure on the back of a curl. I'm here and I have more of a neutral alignment in the pelvis and low back. And when you lift, it's the hands pushing down that help you get up. If the feet don't lift, that's fine. But instead of pushing the feet down, try to lift them up towards your butt. Breathing here. And you're getting this full engagement in the abdominals without putting all that curl pressure on the low spine. All right, scales pose is a favorite, but I'll tell you what, it's a doozy, so you work up to it over time. And I love that one for the fact that before you can even get up all the way, like I would push down, I would lift with everything that I had, and my feet would still be on the ground, but I would feel that engagement in the abs. And that feeling, that engagement is telling you that you're getting stronger. And then after you do your abdominal exercises, a little bit of stretch to release the back and the front hips. Even with our best alignment, the hip flexors and the front hips combine to get kind of tight in abs. Let's do it like this, left foot forward, right knee on the blanket. Use your left hand at the hip to pull it down. Like when we did the conditioning locust, hollow the ribs back, the belly back, and reach your right arm overhead. Just get long here. Neutral pelvis, see how you have the curve in the low back and long in the spine. I love a lunge like this with the knee down because it really prevents the butt from tucking under. So it brings us back to neutral, just so safe. Right hand to hip, left arm overhead. Hollow, pulling the wrist back. Use the right hand to wrap the right hip down. And stretch up through the left thumb, the left fingertips. All right, and release. So to review, yes, get strong to support your low back. Strengthen your core for a happy back. And the way you strengthen your core matters. So we're looking especially for folks with more flattened low backs, more herniation, bulging disc tendencies. We're looking to preserve the curve in the back and create strength that supports rather than harms. All right, this is something we go into in great detail in my course. We also look at how to support the body while sitting. We take a survey of each person's activities so that I can really give personalized, individual recommendations to get you out of pain and back to the things you love. If you have questions about that, DM me, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining.